It's now my pleasure to introduce Colorado's Chief Innovation Officer, Mark Sarangelo. Mark is Colorado's second Chief Innovation Officer. He's also Corporate Vice President for Sierra Nevada Corporation's Space Systems. The Colorado Innovation Network, or COIN, it was launched in 2011 by Governor Hickenlooper as a public-private partnership that sits within the state's Office of Economic Development and International Trade. COIN exists to elevate Colorado's innovation brand, support Colorado's innovation economy, and work as a convener, such as events like this one, to bring together diverse innovation leaders to inspire collaboration and change. Mark is also head of Sierra Nevada's Corporation Space Systems. He's helped build and grow a product portfolio ranging from small satellites to space technologies that have enabled over 420 planetary missions, such as Curiosity, to the hybrid rocket motors that won the Ansari X Prize. Please help me welcome Mark to the stage.
Well, good morning. Thank you. I have the great honor to be able to introduce the governor, but before I do, I wanted to just say a couple of words of thank you. COIN exists because of a lot of people's effort, and we have two new leaders that have joined us that I'd like to recognize. Anna Ewing, who's sitting over here. Anna has joined us as the Executive Director of COIN and has already in her first month done a year's worth of work. Thank you, Anna, for joining us. And I'd also like to recognize Fiona Arnold. Fiona has joined us as the state's Economic Development Director, and even in the 3 short months that she's been here, she's brought a lot of energy, a whole lot of new thinking, and really a new way of being able to push us forward. So thank you so much for joining us and for leading us into this. We started this journey now about a year ago, and it started with just a few people sitting at this table at a room not too far down the road here. And I had come off of speaking at a conference that Tony Frank had put together, which brought together all the leaders of the agriculture industry. And coming out of the aerospace industry, one of the things I raised to them was, did you realize that about 30% of agriculture is driven by aerospace? And most people didn't realize that. And the reason that I brought that up was this idea within Colorado, not only do we have sectors like agriculture, but we have so many sectors that actually rely on each other. And could we imagine a scenario where we might be able to drive innovative thinking and bring conferences like this together in each of our various sectors and then begin to tie them together? Each year, COIN does an annual event which tries to highlight the best of Colorado. And we thought, well, maybe we should start that process by driving a little bit further into it. And from that, this idea of creating an innovation conference around agriculture started. And the people at CSU just took it to a whole nother level. Sitting in that room a year ago, I'm not sure any of us imagined that we would be able to have what we have here. And you guys are really to be commended by that. I have privilege to know the governor for a number of years now, and I'm not going to read his bio because I think it's well known. I'm really going to say just 3 short things, and they really have to do with passion, and passion in the man and passion in what he does. I think the first thing I'd like to recognize is that while his entrepreneurial career is well known, his running the city of mayors, mayor of Denver is well known, what is perhaps not so well known, I think, is the passion for the land. Starting as a geologist, if you ever want to get John to talk for hours, ask him about rocks, and it will go really for a long way. He has a love for the land that really started long before his entrepreneurial career, and I think it's still very much in his heart. The second thing I'd like to recognize is that it was briefly mentioned a couple of times, but it was really his thinking. Innovation oftentimes is brought together thinking about technology, and it really isn't. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of passion. It's a way of belief. And John, a few years ago, decided that Colorado was going to be different, and we were going to lead that thinking about innovation, not just in the acts that we do, but the way that we organize. And through that, he imagined and then gave life to the COIN, or Colorado Innovation Network, the role that I currently have, and really the passion around the state to make the state not only seen internally as what we all know we are, but to be seen externally as being a leader in all this. And I think the third thing for me, the passion, was I watched over the last year is seeing how he has operated through I would say, the number of biblical natural disasters that we've had to go through. I'm waiting for the locust to come through the door right now. But you know, there's a really, when you see the mark of a man or mark of a person, you begin to see that in the most difficult times, through floods, through fires, through personal tragedies. We really are very fortunate to have John Hickenlooper as our governor. So, Governor, I'd like to welcome you to the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark, and I appreciate all the work you do for creating jobs here. Sierra Nevada is a great corporate partner to have in the state, but especially as our Chief Innovation Officer and heading up COIN, you've infused it with new energy and vitality. COIN was actually started, Ajay Menon, who runs the business school here, was the original kind of partner in crime in terms of helping put this together and really created a wonderful foundation, and then Mark has helped take the board take it to a whole new level. Also want to give a shout out to Cathay Reynolds, and not just this event, but so many different events. She is so active, and you can't find her fingerprints very clearly because she is always working with other people and they're always getting the credit, but she's doing an awful lot of that work, and we really appreciate that. Also, Fiona Arnold, as Mark mentioned, she's taken over our Office of Economic Development and has already transformed it and energized it in directions and ways we didn't know. I also just want to give a quick mention to the relationship that you all just saw between Tony Frank and Mayor Michael Hancock, which, went on, no one really notes it. It's unique. And to see a big city mayor like Michael Hancock, who's recognized as one of the top mayors in America, have a strong personal friendship with the quote-unquote ag school, right? The state university, much further to the north, and for them to have a common mission, it doesn't happen. And their ability to reach out to each other and begin to, create this vision of what the National Western site is going to look like and how important it's going to be for the future of agriculture in the state is remarkable. And I think they both deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Last person I'm going to give a shout out is Don Brown, our new head of agriculture. I'll talk about him a little further in my remarks, but talking about innovators, you're not going to get any better innovator as somebody who can both do irrigated farming and dry land farming and find a little time for ranching on the side. I want to start and just spend a minute talking about the Netherlands. The Netherlands is the second largest agricultural exporter in the world after the United States. In 2013, they exported about 79 billion euros, right? So that's about $100 billion, and includes about 1/4 of the world's tomatoes. The Netherlands isn't very big, right? They don't have a whole lot of people, but they've been able to achieve this by close collaboration between alliances between farmers and agribusinesses and their universities, all in one very tightly knit geographical region, which they call their food valley. And Dr. Graff was referring to Silicon Valley. I think maybe the Dutch food valley is maybe equally important. What's interesting is we're doing that exact type of collaboration here in Colorado. We have a great ag innovation corridor that combines our university system and our federal labs like NOAA with our agricultural industry, and Dr. Graff went down that industry. When you see it all laid out there, it really is amazing, the basic foundation we have here. We've got some of the best researchers in America here. Between 1990 and 2012, Colorado scientific authors wrote nearly 15,000 scientific publications that intersect with the ag industry. So 15,000 papers or books. And those same researchers secured over 2,500 US patents, again, connected to agriculture. In 2011, Colorado was third in the nation in federal agriculture R&D spending, exceeded only by Texas and California. Let me point out, Texas is 5 times our size and California is 7 times our size, and yet we're right up there with them in terms of how we're doing our research spending. Our intellectual capital grouped together, when you look at the intersection of different industries coming together, is unique and profound. Agriculture and aerospace, agriculture and bioscience, agriculture and high tech. When we first started COIN, we did the press conference, and it was right, very early after I got elected, and one of the reporters came up and said, well, agriculture and tech, there's no real connection there. How are you going to sell this out on the Eastern Plains? Ha! Right? I mean, what an ignorant comment that was. Of course, I didn't say so to the journalist. I know where my bread can be buttered. We have a robust and innovative agricultural sector because of this truly diverse blend of small and large producers of research and again, these collaborations. We're in the top 10 in the United States in over 25 different commodities. In our economy now, the state economy has over $40 billion in ag, which is not quite a quarter, but it's a little bit over 20%. 173,000 jobs, 36,000 farms and ranches. We're exporting now. We've doubled our exports in the last 4 years. We're going to double our exports again in the next 4 years. So for this Ag Summit, we really do have a good foundation. Of course, as I always say, the farmers and the ranchers are the most natural entrepreneurs because they start a new business essentially every year. And they're looking at a different product mix and trying to evaluate different opportunities, deciding where their capital investment is going to go. They have to adapt to changing tastes and global customer demands. And that entrepreneurial spirit applies to ag producers at almost every level. And I think that we are succeeding in attracting the best. Ardent Mills is a great example of when they came to Colorado. They chose Colorado. They narrowed down their search to 3 cities. It's Colorado. None of them were in Colorado. It was Kansas City and I think St. Louis and maybe Dallas. But then when we pitched, we really talked about what CSU had done and all the opportunities that they would have by being tied into this ag innovation corridor. It's funny, we got into that competition in the last 3 weeks of their search, and then it became a no-brainer. They made that decision because A, they wanted to be in this corridor of innovation, B, they wanted to tap into one of the top workforce opportunities in the country, and they wanted to be part of the vibrancy of our agricultural community that would be able to support them in their efforts and ensure their success. One of their big successes at Ardent Mills was the Snowmass Ultragrain Wheat, which was, of course, developed as CSU's wheat breeding program. And I loved, when I was saying to my girlfriend that I was going to talk about wheat breeding programs, she raised her eyebrows and said, you know, that could be misinterpreted. I said, not in this audience. It would be impossible. Colorado's the largest producer of Snowmass Ultragrain Wheat, and this is a whole wheat flour that provides unique performance. It actually can make a lighter bread and yet still be a whole grain and provide that same level of nutrition and marketing ability. Snowmass has top dryland yields. It's comparable to the popular varieties like Ripper and Hatcher, but it also has good yield under moderate or limited irrigation conditions, excellent overall disease resistance, can fight back against stripe or stem rust, wheat streak mosaic virus. If you'd never told me when I was running brew pubs that I would be talking about stripe and stem rust and wheat streak mosaic virus, I would have looked very questionably at you. Now it's part of my jargon. I think the real mark of Snowmass is the exceptional milling and bread baking characteristics. And those of you who did come on Pedal the Plains last year and got some of the cinnamon rolls, you'll know that it's damn tasty too. Ardent Mills officially opened for business in Colorado last May. They have 40 mills, 3 bakery mixed facilities, especially bakery, but they're going to be another part of that expansion of innovation in Colorado. Another good example is a company called Aware, which is an agricultural data company. They're based in Broomfield, and they develop software that tracks 1 billion data points a day on metrics such as rainfall, pest information, analytics that help farmers better plan and manage their crops, improve their yields. Now, you might ask, why are the research and innovation so important for ag? Why is this data in real time so valuable? It's crop yields. It allows us to to conserve fuel and water, allows us to have the potential to reduce adverse environmental impacts of all different sorts, and overall just to be smarter and more efficient, basically to increase your margins. I think we're going to need more technology and innovation to address some of the challenges in the 21st century as we look at climate change and the potential, and I'm not getting involved in the battle of how much is mankind's efforts and how fast is climate changing, but it's real. It is definitely changing, and with those climate issues and the population growth that we're expecting are going to be new challenges. I know when I first came out to Colorado, I grew up on the East Coast, but I've been here over 35 years, and in that period, rough justice, Colorado's increased its population from about 3 million people to a little over 5 million people. In the next 2 decades, we're probably going to add another 2 million people, maybe as much as 3 million people. That is going to make a dramatic change that we have to be willing to plan for, not just in terms of traffic and infrastructure, but in terms of how we supply food. World population is expected to add 2 billion more people by 2050. And you couple that with the fact that diets are changing in places like India and China, where they're moving towards more protein-rich diets, it's going to put increasing pressure on our food and our agricultural systems. While we've got a firm footing on technological innovation to really face this kind of a changing global market, we need adaptive leaders, we need innovation, and especially we need collaboration, which again ties it all together and allows us to educate not just our consumers but also our producers. And again, I reiterate that we have this in spades in Colorado. We've seen people coming together on even our most historically contentious issues as we face some of these challenges out in the distant landscape. We're hard at work now. We've got a draft of a statewide water plan for the first time in our history. I think John Stolp is out here somewhere. There's John Stolp. When you get a chance, thank John Stolp for all the work he's done for this state. The man has done more work than anybody I know. And I think he's a great example that leadership's not always about mandates. It's about facilitating people to work together to come to their own conclusions. Water is the lifeblood of Colorado and the American West. It's the lifeblood of everything we grow out here. And yet, more than ever, we need to work together when we are dealing with it. We know there's been a long history of discord over water. You know, the old jokes about whiskeys for drinking and, you know, waters for fighting. But we're changing that. And we're changing that in a very positive way, and I think it's just the nick of time. We are going to make sure that our Colorado Water Plan builds on diverse strategies and plays to our strengths. We're going to work with this water plan with our other western states to make sure we're all harmonized, but at the same time, remind them that they're not getting any more of our water. He said nicely. We know that we are going to endure changes in climate. We're not sure exactly what they're going to mean, but an awful lot of the studies predict increasingly frequent droughts. And so we need to be prepared, and we need to know what our choices are going to be and get out there ahead of them. And I think every one of these conversations starts with conservation, of how can we use less water and less energy. We've got a statewide economic and environmental ecosystem that we have to support, and this water plan is going to be actionable and provide an achievable path to be able to do so. We're going to continue working with local governments, working with municipalities and conservation within the ag communities, so that when this happens, when you get that harmonizing with the municipalities and environmental and recreational interests on both sides, they're all going to be better off, every one of the users. We're going to find smarter ways of farming and collaborating with the different water interests to be able to accommodate this growing economy and growing population. I hope a lot of you will get a chance to look at this draft plan. It is going to be important that we all have a sense of ownership on it. I want to give a shout also about leadership. I said I was going to get to Don Brown, who's a third-generation Yuma farmer. He's been active in the water conservation and energy development, technology, innovation issues in his industry. He's going to be a strong advocate for ag. I do love telling the fact that, and he says this himself, so I'm not causing trouble, but this is the first time he's ever gotten a paycheck, right? You guys all know what that means. It means he's worked for himself his entire life, and I think it's an act of generosity that he's willing to come out at the peak of his performance and be able to come out and help us with this. We're proud to be able to announce that when we announced the partnership, as we try to leverage these partnerships and under his leadership, partnership with Western Dairy Association in Fort Carson, making sure that veterans can find jobs in the agricultural industry. Western Dairy is going to compile opportunities, make sure they send them to Fort Carson so we get vets in the right place. It's a natural fit to extend these career opportunities to our returning heroes. Also, the Colorado Agricultural Leadership Program, CALP, another tool that we've got in our belt, develops and enhances leadership of both men and women committed to ag and rural communities. It builds on our farming and ranching heritage through a hands-on and interactive program really dedicated to producing local graduates that can lead change. The program utilizes speakers in nonprofit and government and private sector in areas such as technology, coalition building, resource management, et cetera. Because we've got to make sure we have that next generation of leadership, and that we've got to, if we take on these innovations, we've got to accelerate how fast we move them. This idea from farm to table, that's just going faster and faster, and we've got to support that. Colorado Proud has been incredibly successful in this state. Last year was the 15th anniversary. In 1999, we had 65 members. Now we've got over 2,000 growers, processors, restaurants, retailers. We held our second, building off of that, we held our second Choose Colorado tour last year, where we had a 27-day tour with 11 stops from Grand Junction to Alamosa to Burlington, all across the state to raise awareness and really celebrate what we're doing. I mentioned earlier Pedal the Plains. Perfect opportunity for all of you to get out there, and it's not like Ride the Rockies where you have to do that over the passes. It's over the rolling hills. But it also allows people all along the Front Range to come out and not just see where their food comes from, but experience a way of life that for many of them has unique attractions. We also want to make sure that within this innovation, we continue to attract world-class talent to Colorado, especially in agriculture. I think we're positioned to do that. I was going to tease Mayor Hancock. Usually I thought he talked really well about ag. You don't see him too often. Usually he talks about either technical innovation or he talks about music and culture. But both of those things are magnets that we're using to attract talent. And a lot of that talent, working with things like COIN, are going to give great benefit to agriculture. Want to finish just, you can go online and see our Blueprint 2.0, which is our effort to try and get the entire state looking at what our long-term economic future looks like and make sure that we've got the priorities in the right place and the emphasis in the right place. And I think it makes it's a great opportunity to look at Blueprint right now as it's being created. Blueprint 2.0 is a revisitation. Is that a word? Revisitation of what we did 4 years ago. We are blessed with unlimited creativity. I think we're blessed with a huge number of Coloradans that really care about the future of the state. And if we're willing and able to keep everybody at the table and everybody working together on issues around whether it's water or innovation, we can take the state to levels that we could never have imagined. So you're all part of that. As the governor, I hereby deputize every one of you to get out there and keep doing the good work.